So we ran into a bug in the last video, which is that if you go into your Heroku app and you log in, when you try to log out, you get this error message. It's not working. And the weird thing about this is that if you do it on your own computer, now note that I'm on localhost 3000 now. Oops. If I log out, it works just fine. So this was kind of a nasty one. And this is not something that I think would be an easy thing for a beginner to kind of catch. And that's unfortunate, because typically I like to be able to walk people through what's going wrong and the changes. So I'll try to do that. The solution actually ends up being quite simple, as we'll see in a second. The first thing that you should know is I kind of had an idea of what the problem might be, because I mentioned to you before, and I'm doing the inspector right now. You can use the inspector by just you right click and you do inspect. In the inspector, you can click on this guy. This shows us the basically HTML code. I mentioned that when you do that method delete, it basically lets you log out using a little JavaScript hack, which links are typically not supposed to let you make a delete request, but that's how Rails is working. So when this doesn't work, it kind of makes me feel like there's something wrong with JavaScript. And typically that's what happens. If your JavaScript on your site breaks, all of the other things that use JavaScript will also break, such as the sign out link. In fact, it looks like it's just trying to send you to the sign out page, and it says the page you're looking for doesn't exist. So that leads me to believe this is trying to make a GET request when it should be making a delete request. So I did a little search for this, and I searched for Rails sign out link on Heroku not working, and it seems like there's a few people who have had this problem. Devise, why doesn't my logout link work? Sign out worked locally, but not on Heroku. Basically exactly what we ran into. The frustrating thing about this is that the common answers were not the solutions to the problem, unfortunately. And it's because they're talking about Rails 4, and Rails 4 and Rails 5 are slightly different. So they're telling you you can change something in your application.rb, or you can add this gem. Maybe those things would fix it, but they're actually unnecessary in this case. And it took me to reading the last answer in one of these, I believe it was the second one, to find out what actually was the solution. It has to do with basically the order in which we're loading the JavaScript in our Java application.javascript file. So this says the solution that worked for me using Rails 5 on Heroku, this is the first answer to mention Rails 5, was to simply reorder the JavaScript files like this. And what they're talking about is in app assets, JavaScripts, application.js. So you see we have jQuery, jQuery.ujs, TurboLinks, etc., and we put Bootstrap in right here. Well, it turns out Bootstrap has to go in after jQuery, jQuery.ujs, and TurboLinks. So this little mistake of ordering should be right here. That's what was causing the problem. So if we make this change now, and I can see my git status, it's a tiny little change. I'll do a git add, git commit, and I'll call it reorder JavaScript to fix sign out bug. And I'll push this directly to Heroku just to see if it works before pushing it to GitHub, because why not? There's nothing about the order. You don't have to have it on GitHub first before Heroku. And a lot of times the second time you're pushing to Heroku, it'll happen much faster. Okay. So now if I go back to my app on Heroku, and make sure I'm signed in, I can close this guy out. There we go. The login and logout link work. So sorry about that. That weird little ordering thing ended up mattering a lot, and it's a very hard thing to predict. So let me just do a quick git push my changes up to GitHub as well. And you should do this too. And we have users inside of our application. Congratulations, guys.